Good evening. My name is François, and I'm the pastor of the Wallingford Presbyterian Church. I want to welcome you to this Zoom meeting and thank you for taking the time to join us this evening as we outline our proposal for erecting a new church sign with an accompanying electronic reader on the corner of Brookhaven and Avondale Road. Conscious of the fact that some or perhaps many of you may not be familiar with our neighborhood church, I want to share a very brief video highlighting just a few facts about our church and also why we feel the new sign is a necessary addition for our outreach to our community. A tiny bit of history. There has been a worshiping community here since 1885, and the chapel, which still stands here, was constructed in 1888 and 89. It is one of the first buildings in the area and has welcomed neighbors and the building of neighborhoods as they developed around it over the past 132 years. The church has a membership of about 400 people with approximately 100 pledging units which support its near $500,000 annual budget. From the very start, the congregation was committed to be supportive of our community. In that respect, we are a busy church, busy with many programs and opportunities, not only for church members, but for our community as well, such as the Strawberry Festival, Trunk or Treat, Easter Extravaganza, Shredder Fed, the Blood Drive. The Red Wagon Ministry to feed the hungry in our community and Chester, the Deacons Fund that helps needy families enrolled in our Wallingford Swarthmore School District, the Giving Tree, the Christ Market, and Rise Against Hunger, to name a few. Then there are our educational programs addressing racial inequality, prison reform, refugee resettlement, and a myriad of other topics relevant to life in our time. In addition, our campus is used by numerous community organizations and support groups. We are home to a TCDN after-school program, BSA troops, and Girl Scout troops. In fact, Boy Scout Troop 277 was started at our church in 1943, and we are the sponsoring organization for the first BSA girl troop in our district. And of course, the amazing and wonderful Wallingford Presbyterian Church Cooperative Nursery School, which was started over 60 years ago by the church to serve the families in our community. The proposed sign with its accompanying electronic reader is actually a safer way to convey information to motorists driving by than the hand-painted signs, and is more aesthetically congruent with keeping with the ethos of our church building. Large white letters on a black background that do not flash or scroll are easier to read at a glance and thus safer. How do we know that? Well, as they say these days, we followed the science. Frank Noyes will address your questions about the specifics of the sign in just a few minutes. I want to make it clear that our sign proposal has no moving or animated displays, no glare, shining, or flashing, and that the sign will dim automatically and be turned off at 10 p.m. You no doubt have seen other signs approved by the township with electronic readers that do have glare, animation, etc. But that is not what we are proposing. It's pretty obvious that throughout the various building expansions over the years, the congregation has taken great care in making sure that it all looked congruent. Indeed, one would be hard-pressed to discern where one building expansion ends and the other begins. It appears as though the current structure was all built at the same time. Well, the same care and attention to detail is evident in the proposed sign and reader. Throughout the years, the church had to adapt and embrace the necessary changes that led from a corner fireplace in the chapel for heat to a modern furnace, from gas lamps to a luminous sanctuary to electricity, from mimeograph machine to copier, from snail mail to emails, from landline telephone service to computers and the cloud, from telephone trees to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all necessary as the church kept up with the times. There's a plaque in one of our stairwells in reference to a building addition in 1954 that reads in part, "Dedicated to the glory of God and the service of this community." We are still committed to that, and we ask for your support. We love our church, and we want it to have a good and long life in the service of the gospel and the community in which we are planted. We strongly believe that this sign is one more tool at our disposal to do just that. Thank you again for being here tonight, and blessings.